The date is July 16th. It's been 5 or so days since my last transmission. I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere, but I am heading in a direction though, so that's good at least, I guess. And I don't really know what to do at this point because I feel like I'm stranded and running quickly out of water. And yeah, there's that. And also, on the other hand, um, in um, in more positive news, um, I had to take 2 summer elective classes if I wanted to graduate next year. So I've been going super hard on this philosophy shit for the past 2 weeks now. And it's like really gotten into my head to the point where I basically just only think about philosophy all day. And I don't really know why that's happening to me. I don't really get it because I'm a physics major, so it doesn't really make sense that all I think about is philosophy all day, but that's really all I think about all day. Um, this doesn't really happen to me when I'm doing physics alone because uh, maybe I don't like physics or thinking about physics all day, or maybe there isn't really that much to think about physics all day since it's mostly about doing math. So the idea of thinking about math all day just depresses me because I've never really been much of a math person, and I feel comfortable saying that. But for some reason, I don't feel comfortable saying I'm not a physics person, even though physics is like 90% math. Maybe I'm not that at that stage yet, but eventually I think I will be. So yeah. So I've been going super hard on philosophy. I'm like actually reading all the books that they mention in class, which is easier in this class because a lot of the books I can just get PDFs of. Nobody's really making money off of philosophy books. Who knew, right? Like if you're trying to get an English textbook, it's like fucking somebody asked you to read Jane Eyre or something. It's like impossible to get Jane Eyre for free on the internet. I mean, not impossible. I'm just saying much harder than this. You have to actually go look. But this, you just type in like Kierkegaard Fear and Trembling PDF into Google, and then you'll just get like 10 free books, the whole book. And it was written in the same time period as like all these Charles Dickens and everything. But try just downloading a Charles Dickens PDF. It's gonna be much harder to find than literally a Google search just brings up, because nobody gives a fuck about philosophy. That's what I've come to realize in the past 2 weeks. It's a summer course, so the term only started on July 3rd, so it's not even been 2 weeks since this class started. There's only been 4 classes so far. Each class is 3 hours long because it's a summer term. So the entire course is done in like a month. So we're like halfway through, right? And yeah, nobody gives a fuck about philosophy. That's what I've come to realize at this point. Like, my mom is an avid reader. She reads like all kinds of shit. Not really all kinds of shit, but she reads a lot of books. But mostly she reads books that you'd imagine seeing in like a bookstore, and they're like right at the front. They're the books that are right at the front, and they're really trying to sell them to you because those are the books that they know will sell, so they put them right at the front, right? We're talking about your Tom Clancy's, we're talking about your Robert Ludlums, we're talking about your, I don't even know if that's how you pronounce his last name, never said it out loud. We're talking about your John Grishams, we're talking about your Jeffrey Archers, stuff like that. And she reads it like voraciously. She reads it all the time, like every day. Like she works 4 days and then 3 days she has off. All she does is read like all day to the point where she starts getting headaches because she reads so much. So like, and she's like running out of books because these people only wrote like so many books and all of them are dead. And she does not like new authors at all. Like she's generally a very open-minded person, but she has this like sunk cost fallacy or whatever. Like trying out a new thing is harder than just doing your old thing because you're so used to the old thing. But it's gotten to the point where there are literally no books left that she can read that they wrote. So she's starting to look into other authors, like exploring other opportunities. And I'm like hard pushing her into like reading like Dostoevsky and like Tolstoy and shit. And she actually knows Russian because she grew up in India, like when India was affiliated with the Soviets, I guess. I don't really know how else to put it, but she like knows some Russian, which is a weird thing to have someone know, just like randomly know some Russian. But she knows some Russian, and I was telling her like, yeah, you should definitely go and read these philosophy books. And she's like, nah, that's not for me. You know, philosophy. Maybe you like it. Why don't you read it? And I was like, okay. Just I don't have the like I don't have the I don't know if it's attention span or the patience, but I don't have one of those things. You know. The last book, like last year, I read a lot of books. This year, not so many books. And that kind of sucks. And mostly last year it was because audiobooks were a thing for me, but now I can't do audiobooks anymore because I feel like I'm not doing the book justice if I listen to it as an audiobook. Like As an audiobook, you kind of just experience it. Like the book just passively happens to you, which is not the way that I want to engage with the books that I'm reading. Like if you're just reading like a fantasy book or something, most of the stuff, most of the like you're just there for the ride, right? You're just like the world, the rules of the world and stuff like that. That's established very early, and generally very early in an audiobook is when it's easier to pay attention. And as it goes on, you're just there to like see what happens. You could write the whole thing as like a one-page PDF, and then that will be fine. You'd get some of the experience at least. But the kind of books that I want to read are like these like language books. I don't know if that makes sense. So for an example, I tried to read Don DeLillo's Cosmopolis a couple months ago. I made it like maybe 15-20% of the way through, but it's just that every sentence is so dense and it has like so many different things happening in it. Like I don't really have an example on hand right now. This is not that kind of audio log, This is just me on a solitary basis, just spewing my thoughts. That's what this is for. So I'm not gonna let this become a very involved process. Otherwise, I won't do it. But so like he just puts so much effort into each sentence, and there's so many things happening that if you read it, and you're not paying attention to every little thing, you miss stuff. And when I miss stuff, I can like I like know that I missed something, because when I'm like, oh shit, when I go back, I like read the sentence 3 times, but I don't really have either it's the patience or the attention span. I don't know, one of the two. I don't really have that to like read. It's only a 200-page book or something, like a 250-page book, which is not a huge book, and I have it on my phone. So there's really no excuse in terms of accessibility because I have my phone with me always, and I could read it whenever I want, but I really don't. And I don't know why. And there's a couple other books, like there was a book with 17 short stories by Ryunosuke Akutagawa, and I read half of that. So I made it halfway through, so 8 of 17 stories I read. Then I just stopped for some reason. I don't know. That's just a thing that happened. So like all these more involved books, I really can't get into. And I get what she's saying too. Like she either she doesn't want to do that, or she just wants to read something that's fun and not like depressingly dark. Maybe not depressingly dark, but like that just delves into all these negative emotions when you're just after a long day of work just trying to relax, like you don't want to think about some dude's depression. But for me, that's super interesting, thinking about depression, but I can't bring myself to read a whole book. Not that I haven't done so in the past. It's just that seems to be my current roadblock. So that's that. So that just made me realize that nobody gives a fuck about philosophy. And then I went on YouTube, and there are 65 million philosophy channels on YouTube. Like there's so many fucking philosophy things, and none of them really do a great job at explaining the concepts. They just kind of be like, ooh, it's like it's kind of like when you talk to like when somebody talks to like a person who's pretending to be a Buddhist monk or something like that. There's like, oh, I'm trying to get as much out of this as possible is what the person goes into it with. And the monk is like, I have to say enough to convince you that I'm deeper than you. Because if I'm deeper than you, then you'll come back, like, but are they objectively deep? Probably not. Same with these anime. Did I say anime? I meant philosophy YouTube channels. Anime philosophy is a thing too, by the way. Like, there's AniTube, and then there's AniPhilosophyTube, which is apparently a thing. And I just find a lot of their analysis limiting because they're like talking about one show in particular. And like, I don't think people set out with like a pre-planned approach to this show. Be like, hey, this show is going to be exclusively about utilitarianism and nothing else, right? Like any work is going to be a mixture of different philosophical schools, which means you either have to do all the different approaches to that one show, or like find all the different shows to do the one concept that you're talking about and then do that like that. But I don't really think it's the most interesting. I get what they're doing, right? It's better than nothing. Like if you want to spread the philosophical gospel to the people, the best way is not to write a book. No one reads books, as I've just explained. No one reads books. Even people who really want to read the books that no one reads, no one reads. So no one reads books. So why not make a YouTube channel to try to spread philosophical ideas and maybe Somebody will watch a School of Life video and try to, get interested in Nietzsche or whatever. Like, maybe, maybe that's the play. Maybe it's not. I just don't think it's a very interesting approach. Like, I wouldn't do it myself personally. I'm more interested in the ideas themselves rather than the way that they're presented to the people, because like I understand the concepts and I'm interested in them. So if I understand, then you can too. It's just you need to take the time out of your day to do it. And I don't want to be the one that takes the time out of my day to make it easier for you to understand. I'm sure there are other people who do that, just not the most interesting thing for me. I'd rather like um, just apply it to different things or something like that. Like now it makes it sound like I'm gonna write a philosophical paper, which is not what I want to do. I just want to like incorporate these ideas better into my own work somehow, but I don't think you can do that. Like, I think if you understand the concept, it'll just apply. It'll just like emerge from whatever you're trying to do. Like, um, and this is one of the things that I was thinking about before, but I'm not going to talk about that in this. This is for something else. So, and I got some money today because I sold this old lens that I had for this old camera. So yeah, Craigslist, that's good. I ran out of protein powder. That sucks. For some reason, my my dad didn't get his license renewed or something, so nobody in the house can drive right now. So we're all just walking everywhere and taking the bus. So there's that, which kind of sucks. And yeah, that's it for this transmission. Maybe later there'll be more, but this old radio doesn't really work that well, you know? Yeah.